Please throw it in the chat. I say competition, you feel and think what? We say competition, you feel and think what? Language has very different meaning to people. And as we look back on this year of Unblinded, a lot has happened. And I can think back to the days when I would get messages in March or April that Unblinded is just a house of cards. It's, just one person, which was ridiculous. It was said that we are boys going fast. We were said that it was all about Zeus energy. And I honor any of those perspectives back in time. I mean, they weren't objectively accurate, but they were people's stories. And I remember the times of people being reactive and defensive and having to talk to Fernando and Adam and them saying like, I don't understand, people are not getting it. Like they don't understand that there's a formula and what does a formula even mean? And it's just the same thing as NLP, or it's the same thing as just, some sales training. And I felt so alone. Not because Adam and Fernando weren't working hard, but I just felt alone. But I knew we would get there. And I know that you will get there. And I know, and we know, that competition is necessary. Now, what does competition mean to you? And today we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to listen to an amazing section of the book, The Talent Code. And we are going to lean into what deep practice actually is and the beauty of it and the predictability of it. And we began that discussion yesterday looking at the artists of Florence, the Z-Boys, Wuthering Heights, and the Brontes, and Miracle on Ice that sits behind me. And those skis up there that were my Uncle Jimmy's skis, who was tragically killed in a truck accident in 1998 and was the closest original picture of personal development and professional development acceleration in my life. My mom's brother, who became a retina surgeon and overcame more obstacles and dynamics, extraordinary obstacles and dynamics, and was intensely loving and intensely competitive. So why is competitiveness necessary? Why is it necessary? Because for some of us, competitiveness was ugly. For some of us, we have like these mixed, the same way we have about money, about love, about people, about relationships. We have deep, painful associations to competition because maybe people who are competitive were mean. Maybe we felt like we couldn't win. Maybe we played for teams or had representations of competitiveness that were harmful, disrespectful, denigrating. In the space of Unblinded, that is not what competition means. It does mean to conspire together, words of Tony Robbins, quoting Latin roots, to conspire together and putting color to that. It looks like the world I grew up in. It looks like the world where Coach Slazak told us the truth, and Coach Woods and Coach Ennis, about bringing out the best in us through being around other people committed to bring out the best in them, but not just the best in love and connection. Growth comes from intense competition. And whether we believe in that all things came from God or from evolution or combination of both, the process of the human condition has been one of competition to bring better ways of doing things, of making fire. The people that figure out how to do stuff survived. Those that didn't died off. The best products, the best solutions, the fact that we have cell phones, the fact that we can communicate, the fact that we have computers, the fact that we have cars, the fact that we have homes with electricity and lights, the fact that we can order from Uber and have pizza or other healthy food or Whole Foods delivered to our home came out of competition. Competition gives rise to acceleration. It could do other things too. But without competition, nothing occurs. And tonight, Ruth has volunteered to step in and have some beautiful conversation as we look at the entire picture of what Unblinded is in an hour and all the levers that you have leaks that are causing things to fall out. And Ruth gave me permission to lean into this conversation, so I will briefly. And Ruth said some words to the effect of, yeah, like I'm loving things. And, I'm just like, I'm not quite sure why I'm not accelerating. I said, okay. I said, how are you doing your speaking platform? She said, well, I'm still thinking about it. I said, okay. So you essentially are in a boat in the ocean and blew a hole out of the bottom of it. You blew a hole out of the bottom of your boat. That's lever 2. And how long have you been here? And why? Who told you that you should still be thinking about your speaking platform? And that deletion, dilution, distortion, like it's not just words. It's not just words. That's actually crazy. It's actually literally crazy. Like, wow, I'm just not quite excited. Like, what? When I launched in 1998 and I went to the Chiropractic Society, I launched my speaking platform in a week. I read a book. It said speak. And I spoke at a PBA event for the police about wills. And I spoke before the Chiropractic Society. I created talk. You're at war and you don't even know it. You've heard me say it before. And I was off. What's holding you back? Fear of rejection, fear of failure. Compete, challenge, conspire together. We are not in the world of American college. We are not here to create a safe space where all behavior is the same and all behavior is accepted. It wasn't accepted that we didn't go full speed and make tackles in the football team. It wasn't accepted that if you're in the wrestling room, you didn't complete the exercise. To be in that room and have the privilege of listening to We Are the Champions, because we were champions. You didn't get the privilege to be in that room and listen to that music unless you did the work, unless you wrestled hard, unless you stood out in a room full of people. And I was a freshman wrestling off of varsity and everybody's watching in the room and you're competing for your spot. There's nothing wrong with that. It's life. And we could still be loved. Like you'd still be on the team if you didn't win your spot. And actually certain teams you can't be on unless you make the cut. Competition to conspire together. That's what we're doing here at Unblinded. That's how we're creating the acceleration and being ready to go. Chaz, do we have the talent code clip?
We are good to go.
All right. So we're going to roll into the talent code. And there's a quote from Michelangelo that will be on top on a slide in a moment. But let's just embrace this, absorb this, because this is what we're building in love. Because the teams I played on, we loved each other. We never hoped that somebody would bench press less or run slower so we could win. We worked on running faster, bench pressing more, squatting more, hitting harder, learning the unique distinctions if it was baseball in hitting or fielding or base running. It was competitiveness designed to create acceleration and rise in mastery. And it's scientifically proven that this is where genius comes from. Chaz?
So worked like waiters. Whenever there was a struggle, they wanted to move past it, make sure the class kept gliding along. But you don't learn by gliding. Of all the images that communicate the sensation of deep practice, my favorite is that of the staggering babies. Long story short, a few years ago, a group of American and Norwegian researchers did a study to see what made babies improve at walking. They discovered that the key factor wasn't height or weight or age or brain development or any other innate trait, but rather, surprise, the amount of time they spent firing their circuits, trying to walk. However well this finding might support our thesis, its real use is to paint a vivid picture of what deep practice feels like. It's the feeling, in short, of being a staggering baby, of intently, clumsily lurching toward a goal and toppling over. It's a wobbly, discomfiting sensation that any sensible person would instinctively seek to avoid. Yet the longer the babies remained in that state, the more willing they were to endure it and to permit themselves to fail, the more myelin they built, and the more skill they earned. The staggering babies embody the deepest truth about deep practice. To get good, it's helpful to be willing or even enthusiastic about being bad. Baby steps are the royal road to skill. Part 2.
All right. Thank you for that, Chaz. We're looking for that 3 hours, 35 minutes to go, 3 hours, 31 minutes to go, and the quote spots that I said. So that is a helpful and useful spot, but not the spot. So let's look a little bit more deeply into that. But the concept, because we were about to also play the clip. So that is useful, that part, because it is the question that comes up for me is for you, and rate this in the chat on a scale of 1 to 10. How much time are you spending communicating with people with intentionality, right? In your influence mastery to go from hello to yes. How much time per day are you speaking to people about that? And I want you to compare it to how much time per day you're speaking to people that you're comfortable communicating with to get some level of emotional support. I want to begin to distinguish between the conversations you're having that are for emotional support, actually, versus the conversations you have in refining your skill set and creating acceleration. Like refining your skill set and creating acceleration by going from hello to yes with people. Then I want to go through a quick set of levers tonight in depth about ecosystem merging and speaking engagements. Like, is your speaking platform functioning? Ours was functioning last night for 2 hours. And it's going to be functioning next Monday night. Footnote, you want to be there next Monday night. April of EO, Brittany, who owns her own island, Buck Island, is going to be on, along with Anil Gupta. And it is going to be the launch of the new format for Monday nights. And this is a space to bring people that you love and care about and you want to create acceleration with. So Monday night, be there. It's going to be mind-numbing. It is the what is unblinded and why we're raw. But each week, we're going to have extraordinary people on that we are walking through that process with, who are outside the movement, and maybe some folks inside the movement like Anil with them, to create access to the inspiration and the teachings of their story through the formula, and then demonstrating ways they can create acceleration. So Monday night, 7 p.m., not only be there, but bring people. And I haven't said bring people in a long time to anything. This, you're going to want to bring people to. Bring the people in your organization, outside your organization, people you're creating relationships with, people that you want to bring on your real raw. People are like, what is Unblinded? I'm not even sure what this is. You'll want to bring them there, because then they will want to work with you at a much lower level of friction. Okay. So deep practice is present. We are a deep practice incubator and accelerator around the skill set. It's not the Renaissance, it's not art, it's not skateboarding, it's not writing books. It's something infinitely more powerful. The superpower of influence, knowing what to do with it and getting ourselves to use it. And the structure that we're going to be working on in self-mastery, consistently rising in our exponential growth, is how we learn, how we accelerate. And it is not through talking to other people you're comfortable talking to. It is not. That's like holding a baby and saying, you can walk, you can do it, you're amazing, you're wonderful. And when we fall, we'll pick them up, give a hug, But the people you're talking to, be challenging, hang up the phone on them. Say, get on the phone, get on the phone. I love you. And get on the phone. I love you. Get on the phone. Give them 3 minutes of love, send them to the phone, and have them come back and say, did it. And again, and again, and again. That's the organization we're creating. That's the love that exists here at Unblinded. That's the love. Competitive, conspiring together, instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to make more calls than you today. Like Adam and friend, I am going to create more results than you today. No, you're not. Yes, I am. In love, in the gym, on the phone, talking to people, speaking. Is your speaking platform ready? How many people do you have coming? Who are your two? Are they bringing 5? Are you bringing 5? We'll go through all this tonight because we are creating a culture of amazingness, a culture of deep practice, a culture of champions. And that language may mean something negative to you. If you've never felt like a champion before, you are a champion. You were born to be a champion. You were born to be a champion. And the beautiful thing about business and life is there could be endless champions. Not like a sporting event where there's one Super Bowl winner, one team, and then everybody has to spend an entire year hoping and dreaming. And like my Jets haven't been champions in 50 years. Business and life are not like that. There's infinite space to be champions. And quite frankly, because so many people, they're not competing like professional athletes or the artists of Florence. They're not doing the work. It's actually easy. It's actually easy. So we're going to step into now some dynamics around culture. And some of our team from Caligula is here. What's up, Caligula? Love you guys. And I'm going to ask Bella Verita to share. She's done deep exercise and deep work in this area around Align and her outcomes, culture, and statements. I'll let her give language to it. But there's some very powerful things here. So Bella, good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
How are you doing, Bella?
I am amazing. I am extraordinary.
Outstanding and extraordinary. Getting a little bit of feedback and wobble from somewhere.
Hold on.
That was an interesting beat.
That is my...
Fernando, did you used to play music like that back in the day?
You know what? It wasn't too far from it, actually.
That's so weird. I don't know what that is. Okay. I thought it was my external keyboard, but my external keyboard is off, so that wasn't it. Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still hearing it. Are you hearing it, Fernando?
Now as soon as you started talking, I started hearing it, but now it's gone. So let's try Sean one more. This is fun. This is like a hacky sack game. So let's kick the noise back to you. Let's hear you talk for a second.
Me? Can you hear it?
Yes, it's as soon as you talk for whatever reason. It's almost comical, but I know it's definitely not.
Interesting. So if you can hear it in the chat, I want to make sure. So for me, it's constant right now.
Yeah, it's on your end. So it's, on our end, it only happens when you speak. So.
All right, Chaz, I'm gonna reboot me, please, and Bella.
Yeah, we can take care of you. No
right.
problem.
Pull Nicole on speaker. Go ahead, Bella. So take us in.
Okay. Do I have I do have the ability to share my screen. So I'm going to share my screen. So one of the conversations that Sean and I were having around, culture and the dynamics around drama and stuff like that. And I was sharing in our company, in my life and in my company, we virtually have zero drama. And it comes down to, because everyone, and same with our agents, right? Because every agent that we interview, every team member, even, for my friends, it all comes down to these core values. And our core values is what we build our entire culture around. And so Sean asked me to share my core values with everyone this morning. So I'm not going to go over everything in depth, but if anybody would like for me to share our manifesto, I am happy to do this. But literally everything in my life comes down to living these core values. And our core values, our acronym is HEART. So I'm not going to share mine. So I am the heart that disrupts the status quo, creating life and financial independence by proactively solving the sales problems of entrepreneurs so together we can transform the world. I choose to be the change I want to see in the world, to be the manifestation of expression of love and service. I understand who I am is how I lead. These are the values and the principles that I choose to embody in the way I show up every day for my customers, my team, myself, and the world. So everyone that we interview, every agent, everyone, they all have to read these core value manifestos, and in our application, share with us why they resonate with them. And so the acronym is HEART. The first one is I am heroic. I am certain in the midst of chaos. I am brave to shy away from any uncertainty, chaos, and complexity. No matter what, I always choose to take ownership and proactively create results. I lean into discomfort with courage, gratitude, knowing that growth lies on the other side of comfort. And so so then we have the principles of being heroic. So so that we have check-ins of am I actually being this core value? And we know based on, am I embodying the principles or the antithesis, right? And so each one of our core values has all the principles. So in this heroic one, there's ownership, courage, and gratitude. And so, a couple of examples of the principles is when I see a problem, I take ownership and actions without being asked to. The antithesis is when I see a problem, I ignore it because it's somebody else's job or because I'm afraid of failure. I walk into any messy situation to bring resolve and direction as if it is uncomfortable for me. And then the antithesis, I avoid difficult situations and challenges because of fear and discomfort. Our second core value, I am enlightened. I choose love and transparency. I value and choose transparency, vulnerability, and authenticity in the way I communicate and show up for others. I act with integrity and clarity when working with our clients, our audience, and our team. I choose to be in integrity with myself by having the courage to own my gifts and bring forth the light inside of me. So the principles of I embody being enlightened is I talk directly to people, not about them. The antithesis, I talk behind people's back and I involve gossip, back channeling, and passive aggressive to others, which is a big, creates a lot of drama. And, sometimes, we don't even realize that the passive aggressive natures of and I would say that also is under fake confusion, right? That fake confusion that Sean talks about all the time. I am an amplifier. I choose to better execute faster and efficiently. I solve problems for scale so that we don't make incremental changes, but instead exponential difference. I always look at how I can do things better, faster, and efficiently. I always challenge people and processes on my team so that we don't settle for status quo. I am committed to getting the best results. I think Team Blinded has definitely experienced that with me for sure. And principles and thesis. When creating solutions, I think ahead at how I scale it in the long term and look for ways I can do things better and faster. The antithesis, I make impulsive decisions that implement solutions without taking long-term scale. I skip without asking how I can do it better, faster, cheaper. I know we talk about zone action a lot. I work within our zone of genius and do things better, faster, and efficiently. The antithesis, instead of delegating to an expert, I waste time and effort working on something out of my genius zone. Like, this is something in our like team is everybody has their zone of genius and nobody works outside of it because it wastes like so much time. I am remarkable. I learn, I do, I teach. I am a master of my craft and a lifetime student. I believe it's not enough to just be a little better than the next person. I go a mile deep in pursuing mastery and becoming the best in the world. I teach what I learn and I know, learn and know, and I don't hold back on developing the potential in others. I push the boundaries of my personal growth because I understand who I am is how I lead. I am committed to my evolution as a human potential, as my human potential by always striving for innovation. I never solve the same problem twice, and I always start from the best and building from there to make it better. I focus on excellence instead of perfection. I walk the earth as if every human being is enlightened except me. My mark as remarkable is left by leaving people and places better than I found them. Those who have done the most want to learn from everyone. Those who have done the least want to teach everyone. The principles of being remarkable. I choose to master my craft and pursue the best in the world. I am always learning and putting what I learn into practice. And thesis, I'm okay with where I'm at and will settle for being better than the next person. I believe I have learned all I need to know. And then our final core value is I am a thankful servant leader. I lead with gratitude, empathy, and humanity. I choose to lead with radical empathy and compassion so that I can be in true service to the people I want to help. I have gratitude for every interaction, growth opportunity, and opportunity to serve. I seek to understand before being understood. I hold myself and others to a standard of humanity, care, and dignity by always choosing gratitude over complaining and impact over personal gain. I understand I can only give as much as I have, so I value awareness, self-love, so that I can be of greater service to others. I am always looking for the win-win-win solution in every problem I face. Win for you, win for me, win for the world. In the principles, I take action and say things that build people up. I leave people better than started. The antithesis, I take action and say things without consideration. And then our final is I am aligned. I always go above and beyond. I value going above and beyond what is expected. I over deliver on what I promise. There is no cap to value, potential, results. I keep going, keep improving, keep delivering. I understand that what I do not only will impact my clients and my team today, but will impact millions in the future. That is the final.
Thank you, Bella. And Bella, how does that feel for you? How does that feel for you when you know you created that? And how does it feel to reflect upon that, creating all those incredible ways of being and commitments, and then sharing it?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of emotion that is present. I haven't shared them outside of our team, and what was present for me was one is my self-mastery around my core values and how I show up in the world, and the recognition of how aligned my core values are with Unblinded. And because I would say, as I go through those core values, I think about, you know, how Adam shows up, how Fernando shows up, how Nicole shows up, how you show up. And there is like 100% alignment in every single one of those core values.
Well, no, I appreciate that, and am the first to step into my being perfectly imperfect and working hard every day to embody all the things that you are sharing. And I'm immensely grateful for them and present to how much that defines and describes this movement and the people here. And if we all continue to aspire to these values of hearts being heroic, being enlightened in all of these ways, and being committed to deep practice. You know, the Soviet chess school didn't need to exist with coldness and the absence of empathy.
Mm-hmm.
The athletic environments I grew up in were rich in competition, were rich in ferocity, were rich in pushing the edges of everything you thought you had in you. And they were rich in love. Coach Slazak was one of the scariest humans, holding us to the highest accountability. They called Coach Ennis the Onion. I didn't call him, but people called him the Onion from back in the day, especially the football players that played for him back in the late 60s and early 70s. They used to run. They ran so much that they would eat ketchup at lunch. So when they threw up, it would make it look like they were throwing up blood, because then and only then would people be able to stop. And that may sound completely and totally insane, and we're definitely not doing that.
Yeah, let's not do that.
But I will share this. My high school defensive coordinator, Tom Filato, who also scouted for the New York Giants football team. Coach Filato was Coach Ennis's captain. I think it was in 1967. And they were a championship team, or maybe it was 68. And Coach Filato went to Vietnam. And Coach Filato had an amazing family, and he loved his family dearly. And he had played under Coach Ennis under these extreme circumstances. And Coach Filato served our nation with honor. And he was an incredible athlete, but not a big person. But he was probably 5'8", and was an all-county lineman, an all-county catcher back in those times on championship teams in Emerson. And again, I had the privilege of having him be my defensive coordinator my senior year in high school. And not only my defensive coordinator, he was my unit coach. I was a defensive back, and he was my defensive back coach. And we had the best defensive backfield in the history of Emerson High School my senior year. We did not allow a touchdown pass against us. And Coach Filato, who played for Coach Ennis and held him with the highest degree of reverence, when he came back from Vietnam and got off the bus on Kinderkamak Road in Emerson, loving his family, missing them desperately, before he went to his home, he walked to the Emerson High School football field, which is about half a mile. And Coach Filato walks up to Coach Ennis and thanked him for everything he taught him and every standard he held him to. And just felt so at home in a center of deep practice, in high demand and love at that football field, that I was privileged to step onto that sacred ground every day for 4 years, to share that same ground with Coach Ennis and Coach Filato. And when you go through processes of deep practice and incredible personal sacrifice and come out the other end, when it's integrous, when the demands are extraordinary and they are rooted in love, there is no feeling like it on earth. I truly believe that. And I hold whatever this means, it means, right? The birth of my children, I'm a man, not a woman, so I'll speak from my perspective because I did not give birth.
Thanks for that clarity, so we're not confused.
Yeah, so you're not confused.
Yes.
Was extraordinary and a blessing. And for me, on that very day, and whatever this means, it means, I was thankful to God they were healthy and a miracle how people don't have healthy children. But 14-year-old children can have children. It was not an accomplishment to me. Now, Pegeen, who gave birth, that's an accomplishment. My part was not an accomplishment. My accomplishment began the very day they came home from the hospital. And my accomplishment is causing the leadership that would lead to Tyler speaking on the Huddle the way he did, stepping into a very scary and uncomfortable space. And my accomplishment was when he was not born with unique athletic gifts, but wanted to feel a part of something and succeed. We had this conversation last night that he was able to be one of the best players on an elite club baseball team when every single kid on that team genetically was dramatically superior to him athletically and their natural gifts. And through deep practice, he had not one, but dozens of heroic moments. Walk-off tournament-winning hits, being tackled by the team, and the coach is crying. In his second game ever with that team, that the coach probably said, why did I even take this kid on the team? And he was pinch hitting, and he faced the kid throwing fireballs, 11 years old, named Corell, who would later become an unbelievable Division I athlete, because Corell would end up playing for the Ravens later in life. And I took Corell to Arizona, and he stayed at my client's house out there. And Corell, as an 11-year-old, I mean, was like one of the kids you'd see in the Little League World Series. And we were down one run, and there was runners on second and third, and there's 2 outs. And we're in Jersey City, and Tyler fouled off about 8 pitches. And I knew in that moment, his entire future on that team hung in the balance. He's 11 years old. He's a little boy who didn't even make the town Little League All-Star team and is now playing on this elite club team, by the way, with 7 of the kids on that team who would later become Division I college baseball players, including Corell. And Corell throws a fastball, and Tyler crushes it into the gap in right center and wins the game. And in that moment, I knew he had done something incredible, and so had I. Any 14-year-old can have a baby. And when Courtney scored the game-winning goal for GGG as a 12-year-old, and that video is online, from 30 yards out to beat a team from Maryland for the championship, because she had engaged in deep practice with Roberto after she had been rejected and mistreated and politicized playing for a club called World Class, because some of the parents were friends, and she came in with unbelievable talent and ability. Her natural athleticism was extraordinary, and she did everything to maximize it. And her jumping into my arms and crying, those are the moments I live for and we're creating here at Unblinded. or my daughter Emma standing up in front of the entire school, petrified 2 days before, running for president and blowing the roof off the building as a 12-year-old. As she stepped into Integrous Influence Mastery and varied from her goddess energy into her Zeus and found herself. That is what we are at Unblinded. Mm-hmm. And that is what this space is. And I love all of you. And as we wrap up 2020, we'll roll into the details of some of this tonight. We are a center, a place of deep practice and mastery. Rooted in love, rooted in acceleration, a space of no drama, and a space of accumulating money, time, and magic. Money, time, and magic to cause great things to happen in the world. Bella, thank you for that incredible share, for your generosity. I can only begin to imagine the cost in money, time, and energy that it took to put together those principles, because my hallucination is you would have engaged someone, went through some program, did something. So thank you for that incredibly valuable and generous, heart-centered share.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me to share. And you know, as you were sharing, like the thing that was present, I was taken back to the moment in LBI when I challenged Adam and Fernando, like on camera in front of everyone, like the drop the mic moment. And I was taken back to, you know, because like the competition and that, like, it means love for me, because, you know, the you know, a rising tide lifts all boats. And I was taken back to that moment of that, like, that was the moment that I fell in love with them, because it was like received and just knowing. And that was like the moment I actually felt like I stepped on the field with them, in that, like, that moment would rise everything. And like just hearing the story with like Courtney and you know, that competition, you know, is love for all people.
Well, thank you. And I've struck out, guys, to end the game. I run for class president and been trounced and lost. I've dropped a pass in a big moment in front of 3,000 people. I had a fly ball that I didn't see my senior year at Army at West Point on those sacred grounds. We had the game won and let the ball drop as captain of the team because of my vision and potentially my selfishness for being out on that field, and felt the absolute devastation. I did not get off my block fast enough in the state finals in my senior year on a 4th and 4 with 2.5 minutes to go. And they ran for a final first down to seal their victory in a 10-6 game. And I still remember the moment and don't know why I didn't get off the block faster. So I have faced agonizing, horrific defeats. In the top jury verdict in Arizona, we lost for 5 straight years, everything. Day in, day out on the scoreboard. But I knew the things we were creating that were not showing up on the scoreboard, in the depositions, in the discovery, that the plan was going to work. And our client 1,000 times lost his mind. And everybody said we were going to lose. Everybody said that there was no way to win and that we're just wasting our time, our energy, our money. And when we won and justice prevailed, tears poured down my face, because justice was done and because mastery of the formula works. And in 1987, which was the highest moment of my life, until the moments I described with my children, and many, including my daughter at 4 years old, jumping off a scuba boat in her little yellow bikini and yellow mask as I was coming up from the boat, 4 in the open Caribbean in 80 feet of water, a mile offshore, waving to me 10 feet down, holding her breath as I saw her freedom, her courage, her zest and love for life, challenging her boundaries and the norm. My mom freaking out in the boat that she was in the ocean by herself 10 feet down as I was coming up because she wanted to say hi and wave to me and show me what she could do. Those moments, and in 1987, hugging my brothers, not my biological brothers, my chosen brothers, and the brothers that chose me on the Hasbrook Heights football field in Route 17 in New Jersey. And we were just screaming, crying, weeping, repeating, "We did it. We did it. We did it." And on that field poured people who broke down a fence and were cheering and dancing and going crazy. It's a beautiful thing. But I always want to be the person on the field. I want to be the person on the field. And when I listen to family members on Thanksgiving, not this year, but non-COVID Thanksgivings, watch football games and complain and criticize and rip the players on the field apart and saying, they stink, they don't care, they suck, how could they do this? Rage fills my being. And out of love and respect, I say nothing. But what I think is, how dare you? You sit on this couch and you couldn't have dreamt of the path it took for those people to get to where they are. And yes, they were more genetically gifted than you, but they had to beat and struggle and move past so many other people who were equally genetically gifted because of deep practice. And you sit on the couch and you mock them and you criticize them for doing things and making sacrifices. I love you and you're part of my family that you couldn't even begin to understand. You couldn't even begin to understand. And you sit and you judge them and you make up stories about them so they can entertain you and you can feel better about yourself and your own significance. That is not a value I aspire to. That is not a value I believe that any of us should aspire to. So I conclude today as we go into tonight's call and ask you, are you the spectator? Are you the person who points, who boos, who hisses and cheers as you watch the courageous walk onto the field of battle, walk onto the field of vulnerability, walk onto the field like Tyler did as a little boy in Jersey City, and has not stopped putting himself at stake, including when he stood up in January at the Unblinded immersion or the other day, because he was not confused that that was not going to be a popular message. Are you the player who has the courage to put yourself and your fear of rejection and failure at risk? Because we symbolically burnt it in the fire and it still comes up. I know that because it does for me as well. And are you willing to put that at risk? To be the courageous one who feels the fear and does it anyway, including challenging people you love and care about to do the same? Or are you a spectator in the stands, sitting in comfort, like so many others, hiding, making yourself feel better about judging and pointing at others as you sit in your warmth, eat your healthy snacks or unhealthy ones by the fire, while others courageously do battle and put themselves at risk to make the world a greater place and bring that moment of cheering. And we did it. We did it. We won. We won the Super Bowl. We did it. And I remember when Tony Robbins said in his book, as he recounted a dynamic like that, we did it. You didn't do shit. They did. Who are we? Welcome to Unblinded 2021. We are champions. We will rock you. We are the miracle on ice. And in that movie, I don't know if Herb Brooks said it, but I believe he did, because I think they quoted the speech exactly. In that movie, he said, you were born to be hockey players. You were born to be here this night. You were born for this moment. And I believe each of us were born to be champions and for greatness. We were born to be examples of possibility, and that is what God wants from us. And we are here together to walk through our fear and hold one another in love to the highest of standards of acceleration and understanding that we are perfectly imperfect, that there are minimal standards and maximal standards that we're aspiring to together in love, in energy. And that is what this space is. And I am clear that that resonates in the hearts and souls of everybody here. And I am clear that our fear also shows up and wants us to stop. Because in everything I've ever had happen in my life that I am proud of, I wanted to quit 50 times before the moment, and sometimes hundreds of times. It is okay to feel the fear. It is okay to want to quit. It is not okay to create a safe space for people to do so. Loving people means holding them to their dreams. Loving people means holding them to their action steps today. And that is how we can compete and conspire together here to make all of this a reality for everybody. And Chaz, in a moment, we're going to roll out to Thunderstruck, which is one of my favorite songs to have our junior football players coming out to. But AG, what do you got for final today, brother?
Can I just laugh? Final. Sean, to encapsulate a final of that hour, wow. What am I not present to would be what I've learned through deep practice to turn around and ask the question back to you. But kidding on that note, I was born for this moment, and Lose Yourself is a song that is, touches my heart because, this is it. Going out for that final pass and catching that touchdown. Bella, her words, those values, you could hear one thing for sure. They were not just words. There was deep meaning, and I felt you, and I'm just so, honored to be working alongside of you and to convey that message to the movement and to our team. So thank you for everything today. And when you talk about conspiring and competing, Sean, you, Fernando, every single day raised the bar for me. Those moments, those uncomfortable moments you talked about on the calls that we have on a regular basis, it would be real easy and fun. There are a lot of people out there that are excited and are frictionless. And then there's a lot of individuals that are, looking to build and to grow, but there's uncomfortable conversations. And those are the conversations, and those are the moments stepping into where the growth happens and the acceleration happens. So, and there's nothing better than to win with a team like this. So I am present to winning. I'm present to being born to this for this moment. And I am very present to unbelievable things in 2021.
Amazing. And Fernando, the job you've done, thank you, Adam, in rising in your mastery and your commitments in every direction have been nothing short of extraordinary. And so it is an honor, brother, and we are making this happen. Be there tonight on Tuesday night call and come Monday night and bring people, because whatever this has been, the next level is here. And we are going to create insane monetization in Q1 of 2021. And the way that love has been present will continue to be. The way that Accelerate and Influence Masters has been present, it will continue to be. We are going to create a mad, integrous monetization acceleration across the board here, fervently, aggressively, violently. I use the word violent to mean aggression, disruptive, right? Not physical harm, but like disruptive, aggressive, loud, loving, Zeus, powerful, certain, because that is one of the energies that is required for creation. And so with that, let's hit it with Thunderstruck, Chaz. We'll see you guys tonight. Have a beautiful day.